Hello and welcome to In This Corner, the podcast, Buck 47, boxing's biggest names, boxing's biggest stories, boxing's biggest fights, and we got one coming up here soon. And boxing's greatest memories and moments. We dissect and break it all down, and we do it with flash and panache. And the Grovester, Lee Groves, boxing historian, writer, author, CompuBox counter, and one hell of a nice guy there in friendly West Virginia. How you doing, Lee?
Doing well, but outside, winter is definitely here. I woke up this morning and the temperature was -7. And as we sit here today, it's barely in the teens. So winter is here and I hate it.
Yeah, it was about 27, 26 degrees when I woke up here in Las Vegas. But my heating works, and so I'm just fine, and I'm in the friendly confines of the Smitty pugilistic palace here. So let's get going. And I want to talk right now about our special guest that'll be coming up shortly. He's a guy that we both enjoyed watching fight. He was a former IBF lightweight champion of the world. He was known as the Pittsburgh Kid. One of those Pittsburgh kids, because there was another one that fought a long time ago. Paul Spadafora will be with us. But before he joins us, we've got some stuff that we're going to be talking about. A lot of news all of a sudden, and we're going to get to that at the end of the show. But what do we got? Tease it a little bit, if you will.
Well, last week we were kind of speculating what was going on with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. And at the time, we thought that they were going to sign a rematch with each other. But apparently an announcement has come out. They're going to be in separate bouts on a card coming up in May. We'll discuss who the opponents are and what the ramifications might be. And on that undercard, one of your favorite heavyweights is going to be featured, and that's Martin Bakole. So looks like it's going to be a rather entertaining and an interesting card all around.
Of course, Benavidez and Morrell just around the corner. We'll have our panel assembled next week. Tommy Yankello and hopefully Regis Prograis, the former two-time champ at $140, will be available. Ron Borges was going to try to be with us today, but we're going to schedule an interview with him, I think, next week, and it'll probably air the following week. Ron Borges, Boston Globe, Hall of Fame boxing writer, longtime boxing writer, an excellent one. We've got a lot of cool stuff planned in the upcoming weeks, and at the end towards this too, that it seems like we're getting closer and closer to an announcement of the redhead against Bud. Canelo Alvarez and Bud Crawford. Turk Al-Sheikh is trying to work all of that out. I don't know if this will be the week that it'll be announced.
Yeah.
But the conversation is getting deeper and deeper, so we'll touch on all of that. But when we come back, it's the Pittsburgh Kid, Paul Spadafora. After you hear this.
I want people to call me champ. I want everyone to respect me. I want to go down in history as the greatest ever. So I'll perfect my technique. I'll throw harder than anyone I face. Every day I'll make my hands faster. I'll increase my endurance. I'll get all of this by being the first to the gym and the last to leave. I'll work endlessly to make sure what I want today is mine tomorrow. Because I'm gearing up for greatness.
Back on In This Corner, the podcast, a buck 47. Lee Groves is up there on your right, but our special guest is right in the middle of us down below, and he is a former IBF lightweight champion. He once was like 40, I think 48-0, something like that, 48-0-1. Finished his career 49-1-1, 19 KOs. And I don't even know, and we're going to talk about this, I don't even know if we got to really see the best of the Pittsburgh Kid, Paul Spadafora, during his excellent boxing career. Welcome to the program, Paul. How you doing?
Really good, man. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. Good to have you on. First off, before we go back, tell the folks what you're doing these days.
Well, I'm training fighters nowadays in Las Vegas, and I work with guys in Pittsburgh too, because I volunteered in Pittsburgh for like 6 years at the 412 gym. So like they're getting ready to come out here and fight in Vegas, and for the nationals, and that's what I'm doing, just training fighters and having fun.
Yeah, and you have we'll get to your book a little bit later on, but I want to go back. I always say that really the great fighters and real fighters typically come from the other side of the tracks. I think one of the reasons why I didn't have so much of a career other than not having any amateur fights is I was a middle-class kid, and I didn't come from really the other side of the tracks that really, I think, makes guys like yourself really excel inside the squared circle. You had a real tough upbringing as a kid. And if you can, take us through the childhood of Paul Spadafora. Where is it? McKees Rock outside of Pittsburgh you're from, right?
Yeah, down in McKees Rocks in Pittsburgh. But I'll tell you what, everybody got their ups and downs. My mother was raising three kids by herself. My father passed away, and he passed away at when I was 8 years old. And it was obviously hard for her to take care of us like that, and she was going through a little bit of hard times, a rough neighborhood, always the minority, and I guess it's just I think it builds character though.
Yeah. My mom raised me all by herself. You couldn't find my father much, and that guy right there, Muhammad Ali, and that guy right there, Paul Warfield, kind of held me together. It seems as though boxing might have at many times. Where would you have been without boxing?
I would be in. I hate to say this type of thing, but I would probably be doing life or being dead. Mm-hmm. Like that, because when I was in jail, everybody that I was friends with were lifers. You know what I mean? And it was just the way it was. And that's just something that I know for a fact it would have probably been if it wasn't for boxing. Boxing it saved my life.
When did you first pick up a pair of boxing gloves? Take us into how you started in the sport.
Well, I always had a heavy bag in my house, and my brother Harry start fighting, and soon as I walked in the gym, I knew I was going to be a fighter. My first day in the boxing gym, like as soon as I walked.
How old were you, Paul, at the time?
I was 14.
Okay.
But here's the thing though, I'm like one of them. What do you call like somebody that
a natural?
Nah. Well, I was a natural, but I'm like if I do something, I go all in whatever it is I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I made my mind up to be a boxer, I really, I went all in with it.
How early? Tommy Yankello is a regular on this program. In fact, Tommy will be on with us next week. When did he come into the fray as a trainer with you?
Well, PK passed away. PK passed away in '97, and I was fighting. My first main event was with Bernard Harris, but PK trusted Tommy because Tommy would come to the gym and I would spar with one of his fighters, Scotty McCracken. But Tommy was also a fighter. That's what people don't know about Tommy. Tommy was also a fighter, and I would spar with Tommy too sometimes too. You know what I mean? And PK trusted me regardless, but he would let me.
Who is PK? Who is PK?
That's my trainer.
Okay, but what was his full name?
Charles Pecora.
Trying to think if he passed away, and then Tommy came into the fray as I pitch it over to Lee Groves.
Yeah.
Well, before I start asking my questions, I am also, as Smitty says on every show, I work as the chief researcher for CompuBox, and our company tracked 11 of your fights, 10 of which occurred between 1996 and 2003. In those fights, you averaged 70 punches thrown per round, which is far more than the lightweight average of 57. And you averaged 32 attempted jabs per round and landed 5. Again, better than the division norms. Additionally, you outlanded your opponents by 6 total punches per round, and your defensive numbers were outstanding. You allowed just 23% to get through overall, 12% jabs, and 30% power. All of them are 5 percentage points better than the lightweight average. Fine. That's numerically why you were so successful.
No wonder he was a champion, right?
That's right. He was very good. But from what I understand, you had to completely change your style of boxing because one of your legs was shot. And not only prevented you from competing for a spot in the Olympics, but also prevented you from generating the power that makes other boxers so successful.
Yeah, because
So what happened there, and how did you adjust?
I had got shot. I had got shot with a 45 in my calf, right? And I wasn't supposed to run or none of that again, but it didn't hit me in my knee. You know what I mean? But it made me where I couldn't sit down on my punches the way I can because I'm a southpaw.
Right.
And
push off.
Yeah, I couldn't push off like that with the power that I could put in that. But here's the thing: I'm naturally not a southpaw. I'm really right-handed, but I'm a converted southpaw. But I never, as soon as I walked in the gym, when I was fighting on the street, I always fought southpaw. You know what I mean? So I just did it just like I would do it, and you know what I mean. And that's just how it went.
So had you not been shot, how differently would you have fought? What would we have seen?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Whenever I was an amateur, I had like 90 amateur fights, and I probably had like 55 referee stop contests. But I was never really a hard puncher to the head. I was a great body puncher.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were an exciting fighter in your own way, but we would have seen more excitement, more knockouts if that wouldn't have happened, correct?
But you know what? You never really know because maybe the fact of getting out the way I really wouldn't have cared too much about that because of that. You know what I mean? Like when I had got shot. When I had got shot and I started making my comeback, PK would tell me, Paul, you can't move too far away because you got to be inside. And it makes sense because that's where you could turn your body to get different leverage on your shots. You know what I mean?
Well, you turned pro in 1995, and although you were 26-0. Entering your fight for the vacant IBF lightweight title with Israel Pito Cardona, which, by the way, happened to take place in my home state of West Virginia, you were a betting underdog. But once the bell sounded, you were dominant, so much so that you pitched a near shutout on all the scorecards. Can you describe the elation that you felt when it was announced that you were the new world champion?
I was really hot, man. Wait till you hear this. They didn't have my belt there. I didn't like that. The belt wasn't there. Like, you know what I mean? They mailed me the belt. And I felt like I didn't like the way that felt when you know I was at you looking on TV and I'm like, where's my belt? Where's my belt? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The hell am I fighting for? Where's my? Well, who screwed up there? Do we know?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, I'm launching an investigation. I want to know what the hell happened with that belt. Keep going, Lee.
Well, you would think that it was, since for a vacant belt, they would have the belt at ringside. But normally when a champion loses.
Remember when Shane Mosley went from 135 to 147.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you usually, if a champion loses the championship, they give the champion's belt to the challenger for pictures and stuff. But then the your belt or the new champion's belt is mailed a couple of weeks afterwards. So that's probably what happened there. But it was interesting that they didn't have a belt to at least pose with at the time. You were the first boxing champion from Pittsburgh since Billy Conn. And like him, you were nicknamed the Pittsburgh Kid. How proud of this were you? And even though you live in Las Vegas now, do you still feel a strong connection to the Pittsburgh area?
Oh yes, for sure. Yeah. I'm a Pittsburgher all the way. But
you sound like one.
But here's what the thing about it is. PK don't stand for the Pittsburgh Kid. I was telling somebody one of Billy Conn's nephews must have been online, and he was like, you know about the real Pittsburgh Kid? And I said, I'm not the Pittsburgh Kid. I mean, I'm just telling you, because it's the first time we talked about this. I called Rachel up, which was my trainer's wife. I said, can I nickname myself PK? Just that's PK. That was it, not Pittsburgh Kid. PK, but I guess the way it sounded, it turned into the Pittsburgh Kid.
Wow, I didn't know that story.
That's incredible. Now I know that you don't exactly like talking about this, but you were one half of perhaps the most famous sparring session in history when you and Floyd Mayweather shared the ring in the late 1990s, and it was famous because you did very, very well. You always downplayed the significance of it because you were 10 days away from a fight and Mayweather was just walking in off the street. But can you see why so many people remember it? Floyd has always been excellent, and he very rarely showed any vulnerability. And yet when you were in the ring with him, it was very competitive. What do you recall about that?
I just feel like that we just want... You know, we went in the gym when we sparred, and I think the lack of disrespect that he had for me, and I feel that would have played into if we would fight right. As I say, we would do it if we would do exhibition right now. I feel that same energy that he has would come out of him, and it's impossible. I'm the type of guy that I know how to fight. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? I know how to fight regardless. Even if we're right here in this kitchen, I can fight. You know what I mean? Sure. So if you're gonna fight me a certain type of way, you got to fight me the right way, or I'm gonna kill you.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? What was it? Because I heard about it. I don't know if I used to interview Floyd all the time back then. I never discussed it.
I'm gonna tell you. Yep. I was sparring Mr. Mayweather's fighters, and I was doing good with them, and he was getting so mad that I was doing good with them that he brought his son in. I got somebody for you. I don't know who. Bro. I don't. It don't matter. I'm ready to fight. You know what I mean? So you could get whoever you have. You know what I mean? When we sparred, and that's all it was. It's not, but it really don't mean nothing. You know what I mean?
After it was over, did it? Do you think he did gain some respect for you based on those rounds that you? How many rounds did you all spar? Even
we only sparred 6 rounds.
So, do you think though that after that he said, "Wow, this white boy can fight"?
It would almost be impossible for him not to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good. Well, I'm glad you. Let's take a quick break. Lee's got some more. I've got some more. He is Paul Spadafora. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about his book that is out, Fighting Till the End. That's the Paul Spadafora story, and it's a compelling one, and we'll be back.
I got two options. Option one, I can accept defeat. Option two, I can get up. I can get tougher. I can get faster. I can get stronger. And then I go get mine. I made my choice. Have you made yours?
Back on In This Corner, the podcast. You know, I scare myself. I'm so damn good at this. I get nervous that I keep improving, even though I got a big birthday coming up, and they say I'm getting old. But I don't feel any slippage in my work. But I do want to say how humble I am. Apparently, I'm up for another award, Lee.
Yeah, you are. The Boxing Writers Association of America had a Zoom meeting to determine the nominees for the 2020. I think 2024, 2025 awards. And once again, you are up for the Sam Taub Award. And as for me, you definitely have my vote because of the depth and breadth of your experience as a broadcaster.
I can whoop all the writers. I can whoop all of them. Does that count? Does that help me, or will that get me in trouble?
It might get you in trouble, might get you suspended.
But I thank them. I really do thank them for once again putting me on the ballot. And a man who's been on many ballots for what he did inside the squared circle is our guest, former lightweight champion of the world, Paul Spadafora, as I toss it back to Lee.
You know, we were discussing the famous Spadafora Mayweather sparring session, and you said that the publicity from that session ruined your chances of getting Floyd into the ring, as well as maybe the management teams of Stevie Johnston, Diego Corrales, Cesar Bazan, Arturo Gatti, other guys that you could have faced. Do you think that's true, that it might have squelched those fights?
I mean, I don't think it's true. I know it's true. I'm not going to say about Stevie Johnson, Cesar Bazan, and all the other guys, but I know that's the reason why I never got the Mayweather fight.
Was it ever close? Was it ever close to being made?
Before he fought Victor Ortiz, and this is when I left Mike Akery, and me and Mike was really close. Like, I love Mike. I would never leave nobody. I love him with all my heart. You know what I mean? But he told me for a year straight I was fighting. He had me on a podcast or on a phone line with Mr. Mayweather, and I'm really thinking I got the fight. I haven't fought in a year, and I'm waiting for this fight. I'm training. I'm not acting like I'm. You know what I mean? And then I wake up, and one of my friends is on the computer, and she's like, he's fighting Victor Ortiz. And I'm just like, what? And it was just like, oh my God, I just couldn't believe it. I was like shocked.
Well, maybe they screwed Akery. I knew Mike was a good pal of mine. Maybe they screwed Akery over. Maybe they weren't honest with him. I don't know.
No, because listen, here's how I have to look at it like this. This is how I look at it like a human, like a regular human. Right? Check this out. So a couple years ago, I came out to Las Vegas to work with my son, right? And I'm like, well, if Floyd's doing exhibitions, why wouldn't he want to do an exhibition with me? Would that not make sense?
Given the storyline.
I mean, think about it. Would that not make sense? I just want to know.
Well, more, I think than a YouTuber, and it could have been something because of the story. Yes,
I'm going to ask you: would you be more interested in watching him fight me, or him exhibition with the Logan Paul or God?
I think anybody in boxing would be way more interested in you two. Unfortunately, boxing is so fragmented and screwed up right now. But I think anybody in boxing would say yes, you and Floyd, of course, because we all wanted to see it.
So as soon as I seen that, so I come out here and I asked him, and it was just like, no way, no, like it was, you could just see it. No, you're not getting it, and I already know what it's about. As soon as whoever put that on YouTube, which wasn't me, I don't even know how to work the computer. You know what I mean? So I never in my life would put no one's sparring sessions on nothing like that. Because a lot of guys don't like that, and I'm particular one of them guys. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So I just feel that it was a money thing. I just feel he just didn't want to give me no money.
Okay.
That or the challenge. He's been known for ducking a lot of big challenges too.
Yeah, well, keep going, Lee, because we want to get all these questions, and you have some great questions.
So Smitty brought up Tommy Yankello earlier, which happens to be a frequent guest on our show, and also by Jesse Reed. What did you learn from these two men that made you the successful fighter that you were?
Wow.
And how do you compare the two?
Total opposites.
Yeah.
Right? Total opposites. Tommy is a real teacher. Real teacher. Like, I'm talking about fundamentally sound, and it makes you aware of everything that's what's coming back, what's coming, what's here, and makes it sense. Jesse is a very confident individual. He's somebody that you want to have in your corner. He'll make you think you're someone that you're not when it's time to, whenever you're hurt. You hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So Tommy would be the teacher, Jesse the motivator.
Yes. Yes. Perfect. That's perfect right there.
Yeah. I remember saying many times that if I were a fighter, I would pick Jesse Reed, a guy like Jesse Reed, to be in my corner, because he does talk about angles and tactics and stuff like that, but he can also be a great motivator when things start getting tough. Yeah. Was that the case with you?
What do you mean
with Jesse?
Well, yeah, I think it was, because whenever I got a chance to fight for the title, I had fought Rocky Martinez, and I had a regular fight, but it wasn't a good fight. You know what I mean? And when I come back home, people were saying this, and at a young age like that, you're 22 years old, you're young, you don't know, you know what I mean? But now you're fighting. Now they call you and tell you're fighting for the world title. Mm-hmm. So what are you thinking? You're like, oh, hold on, and then you got your managers and stuff that are pushing this guy on you. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But you can't. Where you're never going to leave Tommy. Tommy's the best.
Right.
He's the best. I mean, anybody, people can say what they want to say. I feel Tommy Yankello is the best trainer in the world.
Well, there's a reason why we have him on the show every single time there's a major fight.
I really believe. I'm out in Las Vegas. I go to gyms and stuff, and I see. I have eyes, and one thing I do, I have boxing eyes.
Yeah.
And what Tommy teaches, I don't see nobody doing that.
You know, we had a historian on the program last week. Lee's a historian. I go all the way back to the little boy with Ali. I said last week on the show, and I don't mean any disrespect, Terrence Crawford is a dear friend of mine. I have a great relationship with Canelo. There's some wonderful fighters. However, I do think that boxing is the only sport where the dudes from yesteryear actually are better than the guys of today. I don't know whether you agree with me on that or not.
Some of these guys are great, like Terrence Crawford. Mm-hmm. I think Gervonta Davis, Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson. I think these guys are, they're great fighters. You can never take Tyson Fury. I mean, unbelievable. Look at the length. He's tall, 6'9", moves around like that, can box. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, but Ali still would have whooped his ass, and so would Larry Holmes in their prime. So, yeah, they're good for today, but they're not the old school. They're not the old school guys. And my point, I should have.
I just posted on my story. Roy Jones said, he said, all these guys want to they want to come to the gym, they hit the pads, hit the bag, but they don't want to know how to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, the mitts are the most overrated freaking thing. And I was just a 4-round club fighter, but I was at the Fifth Street Gym with countless world champions. I never saw Ali use the mitts, or Florentino Fernandez, or Luis Rodriguez, or Alexis Arguello. They did heavy bag, speed bag, double in bag. They ran. Here I go, Lee. I haven't said it in about 2-3 months. Muhammad Ali told me, I asked him, what are the 2 most important things a fighter can do? And he said, sparring and running. Sparring and running. Sparring and running. Okay, take it away, Lee. You got a few more questions left. I'm babbling on, man.
Well, there you go. That's Smitty. Anyway, you're a trainer now. What's it like being on the other side?
Well, I feel like it's different. It's different because everybody's different.
Right.
Every fighter is different. You can't train every fighter the same. You know what I mean? But there's also the fundamental of it. You know, see, that's what I'm saying about how great Tommy is listen, if you have a guy that fights a certain type of way, right? You can make him try to do one thing, but if he can't do it that way, then you have to go with what he does best.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to try to work on what you do bad. I'm going to try to let that be the last thing you do. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my opinion. But I'm a big believer in sparring. I'm a bit like what he said. I'm a big believer in sparring, road work, heavy bags.
Even shadow boxing is really.
Boxing is like, yeah. Sometimes I'll make my kids come in there and do 12 rounds. They'll think they're going to do this, and we're going to shadow box for 12 rounds and get out.
Yeah.
You have to be like, when you're shadow boxing, someone's got to be in front of you. You can't just shadow box like this. But that's what part of being a trainer is. Like, okay, go hit the bag. You go hit the bag and walk out the room. I bet you he comes back and he ain't hitting the bag the right way.
Yeah. You know what I'd love to see Turk Al-Sheikh do is open up a mega gym here, or maybe a few of them, and have like guys like Tommy and Paul and my dear friend Wayne McCulloch, all, like working, like maybe satellite office, certainly something here with guys like you and Wayne McCulloch, guys that are world champions, fundamentally sound. Would love to see that, rather than these guys that are training fighters and their only real thing they seem to do is wear dark glasses, and they have a toothpick and a towel around their neck, and they hold the freaking mitts. But Lee, I'm going into a tangent again. You got to go.
Wayne's a phenomenal trainer.
Yeah.
And he practices what he preaches too.
Yeah, and he speaks highly of you.
And listen, he is what he is. The pocket rocket. He ain't no joke, bro.
Yeah,
no joke at all. In fact,
I can see Wayne he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Will be one of the best trainers ever.
Yeah. Keep going, Lee. I know you got a few more. I keep interrupting. Sorry.
Well, I was at one of your fights at ringside. It was when you fought Leonard Durin in Pittsburgh on HBO for a unification fight.
Really got that knockdown, though. When I hit him, it doesn't matter if it was a slip or not. I hit him on the head. He went down. That should have been a 10-8 round in the fourth round. Let me go back and watch it.
And that would have been a difference because the fight was a draw. Both of you kept your titles and all that. And what do you remember about that fight besides the knockdown
I
call?
was
It was an
so
action fight.
I was so upset. I was so upset that I didn't get the decision. I, it was, but let me tell you something. All that upsetness went away whenever they gave us the rematch. I went to camp that day. My promoter called me, said we got the rematch for 750,000,
Mm,
a neutral spot. This he retired. You
mm,
remember that?
mm.
You remember he retired?
Wow.
You remember that?
I
Mm.
don't. I remember the
Oh,
first fight. I didn't know that story. I did not know that story.
Listen. I met boxing camp, and he retired.
Yeah.
And was trying to tell my brother Harry, was like, Paul, next time when you get this fight, make sure you box him. I said, I'm not boxing him. He can't take no body punches. If you was watching how we was fighting, I was in love with going to the body. He was making noises. It was like different. And guess he comes out. That my promoter calls me up and says, Paul, you got to stay in with Leonard Dorn just retired, but we're gonna take a non-title fight for 50,000, right? He wants me to be up at the camp for 3 months. Leonard Dorn, I leave camp, get in trouble, and he comes out of retirement and gets knocked out with a body shot with Gotti.
But
Yeah.
let's pick it up though right there though. You got into some trouble. I always said for guys like you and there's a billion others, my friend Mike Tyson, the safest haven for Paul Spadafora, the safest place was probably inside that damn ring. You know, with the troubles you had with alcohol and other stuff outside the ring, did we ever see the best of you? I mean, you had a great record, world champion, but did we ever see the best?
I, I don't think that could be possible when as soon as I start picking up doing the wrong things. I was around 28 years old. I was doing the real wrong things. Nah, I wasn't a fighter no more. Soon as that stuff started happening, when you put stuff in your body that you're not supposed to put in your body, you can't call yourself a fighter no more. Like, nah, no.
And you've put all that behind you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. What question that we haven't asked, what would you, because you have a lot of fans, you kind of have this cult following, believe it or not. You really do, which is a compliment. What would you like the audience, boxing fans, to know about you, your life, and or your career, whatever? In a couple of minutes, just share what you'd like people to know that they don't know.
Well, I always say that I don't know anybody I don't know too many people. Me and Tommy are pretty close of loving the sport alone, the game alone. I love boxing more than I love anything in life. I have a gym right in I always had a gym in my house. I always had something to hit, boxing. Always think about boxing. I always watch boxing, and I don't know I don't know anybody that works like me. Like my work ethic is I'm out of this world, and I love boxing. You know what I mean? And what I would love for people to know is if you see me drinking, stay away from me.
Well, yeah, and by the way, Wayne can tell the audience this. If you see me drinking, Wayne went out with me 2 or 3 times as my designated frickin' driver. I had to have an Irishman because I'm Irish and Lebanese. So what would be a real mistake would be to get Spadafora and Smitty together. My birthday is coming up. I'm going to drink on my birthday. So you you stay away from me and maybe I'll stay away from you. Or if we get together, they'll never see us again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you got it together now. How do you want to be remembered as a fighter and as a man? You got a long life left, but how do you want to be remembered?
One of the slickest boxers that ever lived. I'm gonna be honest with you, that ever lived in a roundabout way, but just wasn't you know, didn't get all the recognition that he did, but probably one of the slickest boxers that ever did it.
Mm-hmm.
Lee, any final question?
Yeah,
comment?
let's talk about his book.
Let's talk about the book.
Well, yeah, the book tells a lot of reasons why things happen to me. You know, you're in your childhood,
Put that book up, and fighting till the end.
Yeah.
Do you still feel like at times you're in that fight? Are you still in that battle with yourself?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
And it sounds like you have a hell of a dance partner there that is so important in your life right now, that takes good care of you.
Sure, man. Without her, I would.
Well, give her a plug.
Yeah, she's the best ever.
Yeah.
I would never married her.
yeah. I think guys like.
Hey, listen, I'm 49. I got married when I was 40. What? 40, yeah, like 48 years old.
Tell the audience her full name, please.
Nadine Spadafora.
There you go.
Did she come on screen?
Nadine's are always good. After my divorce,
I like to call her.
There she is.
Nadine.
I dated a Nadine after my divorce. I don't know where she's at now. It was a
beautiful
Canadian girl.
Listen, you got to call him like this. Nadine.
Yeah. Well, listen. I got to get over and see you. You're only about 35 minutes away. In fact, next Wednesday, I think. No, next Monday at 10 a.m. Wymack will be doing Smitty's hair. She does a great job. Man, I look good. I'm 65. I look good for 65 years old, don't I? Yeah. I'm going to be Route 66 February. To all my fans out there, February 5th is my birthday. The one thing I don't have is a helicopter. And let me tell you the reason why I need a helicopter. My garage door just broke, and I can't get out of my garage. I can't drive my damn car, so I need a helicopter. So by February the 5th, there's room out here in front of the Smitty house here, so I need a helicopter. That's all I'm asking for. Lacey,
I don't think I can help you with that one.
I'm in Inspirata. I'm in Henderson. You
want to use my car?
No, well, I'm good. I need a helicopter, Paul. Huh?
He has a Fiat.
Okay.
Fiat.
No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere today or tomorrow. And this garage door company is coming to fix my garage. But we got to get you on here more often, and hopefully you'll invite me. I'll come down to your gym and hang out with you sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Can I find you guys something too to watch his YouTube channel, because he does lives where I'll just teach his fighters, and then the members I save it to. So if you're a member, I save all his teachings.
And how do we get to that site?
Spadafora Boxing on YouTube.
Spadafora Boxing.
And where can we get the book?
On Amazon.com, on BarnesandNoble.com, Walmart.com. It's on audiobook and paperback. And if you want a signed copy, you could go on our Shopify and our bio on YouTube or Instagram, and it's on there too.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Nadine. Maybe I'll go to the Bumble site and see if I can find a Nadine. I'm a single man. Anyway, before I get into a whole hell of a lot of trouble, we want to thank.
Too late for that.
Yeah, PK, the Pittsburgh kid, Paul Spadafora, for joining us. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All right. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back with more right after this. Back on In This Corner of the podcast. Great stuff there with Paul Spadafora. Speaking of great stuff, how do they look? My pearly whites are looking better all the time, and a lot of that has to do with the great work done by Dr.
Nam Phan.
Dr. Nam Phan. He is located all over the place. He's in Las Vegas. He's in New York. He's in New Jersey. He's kind of I like to say, an alternative to caps and crowns and bridges and that sort of stuff, especially if you're looking to do the best you can, not only for your smile, but for your overall health of your mouth and the ability to eat food and live a comfortable life and look good. I really recommend Dr. Nam Phan. He specializes in full mouth cosmetic veneers, crowns, dental implants, extractions, and sedation. One of the things he's really done is consistently helped his patients achieve their ideal smiles. And what he does that's also important is he considers the ability to pay for all of this, because a lot of this stuff can get quite expensive. And he has a range of affordable financial options tailored to your needs. In other words, he will work with you. So you're getting great work, and he's making it work for you financially. I want to give you, rather than give you these locations, just take this number down. And when you're ready to get this work done, here's the number, 702-637-9168, 702-637-9168. Or just give him a call and say, hey, Dr. Nam Phan, I heard about you on with Smitty and Lee on In This Corner, the podcast, and I wanted to say hello. And Dr. Phan, when are you going to come on the show and talk about mouth guards? I know you do custom-fitted mouth guards along with Dr. Persky. When are you going to come on and talk about all of that? Well, he will be coming on to talk about that in the coming weeks. Speaking, and that's Dr. Nam Phan. Speaking of in the coming weeks, what do we got coming up?
Well, we got coming up our panel show next week with David Benavides and David Morrell. We're going to have our usual
fight
suspects. Tom Yankello, who Paul Spadafora says the best trainer in the world, and we aren't arguing about that. And we're also going to have Regis Prograis, hopefully, to talk about this fight from the fighter's perspective.
And he's got a fight. He's got a fight coming up now, right, Regis?
Yeah, against Oscar Duarte. And that's going to be a very interesting fight style-wise because Duarte comes forward.
Right,
he's going to be there for Regis. And it should be a nice mix of styles. We'll see how it turns out.
And Ron Borges will be with us in the coming weeks, the excellent Hall of Fame writer.
Right, that as well. He was going to be on today, but schedules got mixed up. But we think we got a handle on it now.
Very cool. Okay, I know you got some catching up you want to do with our audience and with me. So go ahead.
Well, here's some news items. A couple of days ago, last week we said that Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney appeared to be on a collision course to face each other. Well, news has come out and it's been finalized. I guess Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney are going to headline a May triple header, and the two fighters are going to be in separate bouts. Ryan Garcia is supposed to fight former 140-pound titleist Rolando Raleigh Romero in a welterweight bout, and Haney is scheduled to fight former unified 140-pound titleist Jose Carlos Ramirez. Both are pretty good fights on paper. Should be interesting. And then the third bout is just as interesting, if not more so. Martin Bakole, heavyweight, made a big splash a few months ago by knocking out Jared Anderson. He's going to be fighting F.A. Ajagba in an IBF heavyweight title eliminator. And if all goes well, Haney and Garcia will fight their rematch next, and the winner of Bakole and Ajagba will be the next mandatory for Daniel Dubois.
I think.
What are your thoughts?
I think Effie might get effed up by Bakole. I really like. I really like Bakole and what I've seen of him. Raleigh needs to hustle on down to Tommy Yankello and spend about 60 years there to completely revamp his fundamentals. All kidding aside, I don't know if there's time now, but he really, he's one of the most flawed fighters I've seen at a so-called high level. So is Ryan Garcia, but he's less flawed than is Raleigh. And I think for all the boxing podcasters out there, you get, because that's all you guys talk about anyway, are Raleigh and Ryan and Tank, and you sprinkle in a little Canelo and Bud, and we'll get to that. That's all they talk about. You would think there aren't any fighters from the rest of the world, but I guess it's good. And to see Bakole back after what he did to Anderson, I look forward to seeing him.
Very much so. And in other news, light heavyweight Atif Oberton, who is trained by our own Tommy Yankello, he lifted his record to 12-0 with 10 knockouts after stopping Joaquin Baroa last weekend in Oberton's hometown of Philadelphia. And then another alum of the show, 43-year-old Hall of Famer Holly Holm, is reportedly planning to return to boxing after a successful career in mixed martial arts. Her intended target, by the way, is former undisputed 140-pound champion Chantel Cameron, but that remains to be seen. What are your thoughts on these two?
My thoughts are she should stay retired. I like her. She's been on the show before. She's a Hall of Famer. Great career. She was past her prime years and years ago, so I would respectfully say, stay retired.
And also congratulations to our Tom Yankello for his continued success as a trainer. Hopefully he'll hit it even bigger down the road. He deserves it.
Yeah.
You made a slight mention. You made reference to the possibility. There seems to be more and more chatter about a possible fight between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford. The latest that I heard that it was going to be for September, Canelo's 168-pound belts will be on the line, and there is no rehydration limit from what I heard. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, you've always said that Smitty is not given to vacillation, ambivalence, and ambiguity. You've always said that about me, but I am vacillating a little bit. First off, I would have hoped that fight would have already taken place. Bud's a little older. Mm-hmm. He's obviously a lot smaller in many ways. However, he's the same height, might even be a little taller, and he's got 4 inches in reach. Mm-hmm. So, and he's so damn good that I think if Canelo is a $168 at the very most, very most, and Bud is 58, 59, 6, whatever, I think it's a very competitive fight. I think Crawford could win it if he fights it very scientifically. I'd make Canelo the favorite. We have a lot of time to talk about that. But the longer this thing percolates, I don't think it bodes well in the favor of Crawford, even though Canelo's been fighting, has had more fights and might have more atrophy on him. I just think that if it takes place right now, at the latest September, I think Bud's got a great shot at beating him, but they got to do something to make it as even a pugilistic playing field as they can.
Yeah, it should be very, and you're not alone in your opinion as far as predicting Crawford victory. Should be very interesting, and as far as name value, it's one of the biggest fights that can be made in the sport. Let's see if it happens.
And again, it's one of those rare things where typically you'd never want to see something like this, but you're a historian, and damn well back in the day. Look at what Henry Armstrong was able to do fighting. That might be the best comparison.
Very much so.
A guy that was smaller but better, beating somebody that was really damn good but not as good. But there comes that line of when it's too much. And I think we're right at that point with Canelo and with Crawford. So we'll see. It's something, certainly it's interesting to talk about. And I think it will. I've been saying it was going to happen when people thought I was crazy, though,
Oh, yeah, for sure. We discussed the merits of Crawford and Canelo in a segment a couple of years ago, never thinking that the two of them would actually end up meeting in the ring.
Yeah, that's kind of why we did it. We went overall because we thought, oh, these guys are, the two best. And I spoke to why I thought Crawford was better. And I think Amber was on with us, and you and Amber went over all Canelo's tremendous attributes. And of course, I won the debate, as I always do. But it's a healthy debate. And by the way, I'm leaning towards Crawford.
Right.
But you know what? I mean, you've said in private to me some interesting things. It's a very, very, very dangerous fight for Crawford, who in some ways has everything to gain and not much to lose, whereas Canelo, to lose, the reputation and stuff would be on the line. He's still a sure first-round Hall of Famer, but knowing Canelo the way he thinks, it's like, man, is this worth the money? Is it worth it? What kind of respect am I going to get to beat up? All they're going to say is, oh, he fought a little guy, But that little guy right now is the best fighter in the game. By the way, speaking of the best fighters in the game, isn't there a monster from Japan that's got something coming up as we tape?
Yeah, we're taping on Tuesday, and on Thursday, Naoya Inoue. Now, by the time you see it, the fight has already happened, but he is supposed to meet South Korean Yi Jun Kim. He's fighting Inoue on 13 days' notice after mandatory challenger Sam Goodman was forced
3 or 4 rounds.
Huh?
3 or 4 rounds, I'm saying.
Three or 4 rounds. Based on what I've seen of Kim, I wouldn't be surprised if the monster once again did monster things. But what if Kim did win? He would be a heck of a story. According to a story, and I read this written by Corey Erdman on Ring Magazine's website, Kim was an orphan who was never adopted. He was a private school dropout. He was the first South Korean to challenge for a world title in nearly 10 years. And if he won, South Korea would crown its first world champion since In Jin Chi retired in 2006, almost 20 years ago. There was a time in boxing history where South Korea was a powerhouse in boxing. You had, Myung Woo Yu and Jungkook Chang. They're in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But Korean boxing has really dropped off the map.
Did this guy punch it all?
I saw him. He lost I think a majority decision in Washington State. He's a decent fighter, but decent does not work against. So
his chances of winning are like me asking for a tryout with the Lakers to play center. I think, or it's about equivalent, because there's only one guy in that division I think that really stands a great chance, and you've convinced me that he really does have a chance, and that's
Junto Nakatani.
Nakatani. All right, let's knock it out of here with Nakatani being the last word. We want to thank Paul Spadafora for joining us. Great stuff there. Next week, we'll break down Benavidez and Morrell with Tommy Yankello and Regis Prograis. Following week, a Hall of Fame writer, Ron Borges, will be with us. And that, do we have anything else I got to plug? I'm trying to think. I can't.
We've got some guest lineup down the line, but we're not sure yet.
Okay.
We'll announce it when we have it.
All right. Let me get out of here. I've got myself in enough hot water today. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to Paul Spadafora. So long.